Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. and today I'm reviewing the Unlock series of short adventures. I will note, by the way, these have fallen down every single time I've talked, so I'm going to see if they actually fall down, but we're going to keep going either way. The Unlock series of short adventures. This is a new series of Unlock games, specifically professing to be shorter versions of Unlock games, although I will say someone should tell the developer of the app the length of these adventures, because all of these, except for the super hard one, come in at 30 minutes on the box and 45 minutes for the super hard one, but if memory serves correctly, I believe it's 30, 30, 40, 40, 40, and 50 minutes in the actual app, meaning however long the box is saying, the app is expecting you to take longer. I guess you could say you're supposed to finish it faster, but that's a different conversation. In any case, let's go ahead and talk about Unlock in general, then talk about what these new versions of the Unlock games do to the series. This is going to be a completely spoiler-free review, talking about my experience more so than the actual contents of these individual adventures. Unlock is an escape room style game. It's a game which you're going to have a bunch of cards. In fact, let's go ahead and draw all these cards, and again, spoiler-free all of that. We're going to have a bunch of cards in the game system, and this is going to start you off on the first card, but we're not going to go further than that. You're going to go ahead and read some basic text over here. You're going to go ahead and see, what does this adventure have? Duran's Dungeon. You're going to flip this card over and take card 6 to set off on this quest. At which point you'll be presented with a bit of a situation, a bit of a story with some text, and then some numbers of some cards you can go ahead and gather. So you can now take the cards that you see. Any cards on here, you can take those from this deck over here. So we have 43, 94, and 31. Let's go ahead and grab those. And again, spoiler free, we're just going to go through the very first step. We won't grab any more cards. I think this is all reset properly. 31, 94, and 43. 31, 94, and 43, and we need 31. So these are all things you're going to see in the experience. You can go ahead and grab the cards for them. Of course, it's the very bottom card, and these are the things that are going to be in this picture. From there, you're going to have various types of machines or cards or interactions you can go through. You're going to have blue and red cards that fit together. In this case, you could add 43 and 31 and see if that's a card in the deck, although you want to be thematic, not just adding the numbers. You want to see, does it actually make sense with what you're doing? Because if not, sometimes you'll be drawing penalty cards in this deck that will they'll count down your time on the timer. There's an app for the game, it'll guide you through things. There's going to be machine cards, which give you different interactions, the ways you go through those. And that's kind of where we're going to stop showing you stuff here, because I really don't want to get into spoilers. But the general idea is you have various cards you're discovering. There'll be occasional hidden numbers. There'll be cards that have machine integrations on the app of the way you're going to move, rotate, adjust cards that fit together, and just puzzles you're trying to deduce as you figure out your way through the adventure. That's the core idea. It's an escape room in a box. The Unlock series of games has a lot of games, and I think they are generally fantastic, with the caveat that I think you will find I wouldn't recommend diving into an Unlock game unless you're okay with the fact that some of the puzzles you're presented with will be frustrating. I won't say every single game you play, but inevitably you will find some puzzles that are frustrating and some that are very rewarding as you go through them. I'll also say that the boxes for these generally say 1 to 6 players. This one also says 1 to 6 players. I think it's a great 1-player game. I think it's a great 2-player game. I think it's a good 3-player game. And I would not recommend it at 4, 5, or 6 players. You know how you play Unlock with 4, 5, or 6 players? You take 2 of these, you give them 2 different groups of 3 players, or possibly 2 different groups of 2 players, and call it a day. Do not play Unlock as a 4, 5, or 6 player game. Obviously, if you have played it and you enjoy it, that's great. But I think general opinion is that these are better as smaller player count experiences. So, Unlock short adventures. What are these games? How are they different than the usual Unlock series? And to that end, there's 2 differences: the price and the game time. Unlock games are usually come in at an hour-long experiences. That is the general goal of an Unlock game. You play for an hour, and then possibly you play for a little longer, because once the timer runs out, you can keep going. If you didn't solve the puzzle, keep going. Maybe you solve it in an hour and 12 minutes, and you don't get as good of a score, but you still have the satisfaction of at least you figured it out. I will note, by the way, there are also hints along the way. Those are all factored into your score. If you use certain hints, you're all good to go. Past that, these short adventures are going to be cheaper, and they're going to be shorter. They're going to be giving you Unlock games in, again, 30, 40, or 50 minutes, despite what the boxes say, which is slightly different than that. And to that end, my opinion of these games is that you're getting an Unlock experience. That's the review. The review is that you're getting an Unlock experience. Just shorter playtime, cheaper cost. I mean, I don't want to give spoilers, so that's the review, I guess. But if I'm trying to say more than that, I'll say the following. So, you're mostly getting an unlock experience. If you like unlock games, I think you'll like these as well. They do kind of hit that playtime requirement or goal, so I think the main goal or appeal of these is the price differential, the ability to jump into a bunch of these all at once, and the ability to do them in a shorter time frame if you don't have that hour, especially since unlock games, even though they're listed as an hour, I frequently find myself going in the anywhere between 50 to an hour and 20 mark for an unlock game, which means I have to have at least an hour and a half kind of mentally set aside to dive into it, and these will change that. These ones I do find are closer to the listed playing time when you're going through them. I've had some that run over, some that run over, some that run under, but I don't think I've gone over 45 minutes on any of these experiences, at least not yet. Yeah, even though one of them is labeled as 50 minutes, I haven't yet gone over 45 minutes on any of these yet. And so to that end, I think that they are good for that player time aspect. Past that, I'll say that they are subject to the same frustrations and joy that I get from any unlock game. These experiences, most of these packs, I have to think whether all of them or not, but I think most of these packs have had a moment of frustration at a different point or another, and they utilize the app, and I haven't played all the unlock games, so take that into account. I've played a lot of unlock games, but not all of them, so I don't know if these specifically have new things, or if it's just new things in unlock games in general that I haven't caught up with yet, but many of these have a lot of different ways of integrating your app and your camera, and ways of pointing at different things, and this is very much spoiler-free, I think, but they're just things that I didn't even necessarily realize, and so even my very first one that I dove into, which I think was Duran's Dungeon over here, I went through these on easy to hard over here, but Duran's Dungeon, there were some things that the game had me do that I just hadn't seen an unlock game do before, and so I think actually this one I went the furthest over, which is the easiest one, but I went the furthest over, but mostly because of the fact that I didn't even realize certain things were doable within the framework of the unlock system. But past that, I would say once I got that thing out of the way, this is a very easy experience to dive into as far as just, traditional unlock stuff, finding hidden numbers on cards, trying to utilize logic and a little bit of guesswork to figure out how you can go ahead and get ahead. There'll be that occasional frustrating moment, which might be frustrating for you if you haven't played unlock games, where you have to think outside the box. You'll have those things in this game because unlock games, sometimes you'll be faced with something that you didn't even think was something you could do, and then you'll do it in one of the unlock games, and you'll be like, oh, they're cleverer than I thought, and I have to be mindful of that. As you go through these, I think that other ones, I think that in particular, I remember in Pursuit of Capricorn, I think it was. I think in Pursuit of Capricorn, nope, The Awakening of the Mummy. The Awakening of the Mummy, I think, had a scene in it where there was an audio aspect that I solved the puzzle. So again, this should be spoiler-free for the most part, but there's an audio aspect to the game where I solved the puzzle, and I still couldn't solve the puzzle, if that makes sense. And this is not the first time that's happened to me in an unlock game, but sometimes the logical aspect of what I have to do in a game is taken care of, but because of other factors that I think are less clear, I still didn't get there. Think of it, I don't have a better way of saying it, but I would say that sometimes in an unlock game, and that happened for me at least in The Awakening of the Mummy, I mentally solved the puzzle and still couldn't get the answer until I looked at the hint and was like, oh, so I was right. It wasn't clear in the way it was manifested. I'm trying to be very spoiler-free as I talk about this. But then again, it's not a critique of this. I still enjoy The Awakening of the Mummy. I still felt The Awakening of the Mummy. I still felt satisfied as I went through the experience. I still think it is a good unlock game. I'm just saying the usual types of things you'll encounter along the way. I think Pursuit of Capricorn was possibly my least favorite of this group of games over here. It's not bad, not by any means, but I think this one more so than others, I kind of felt that some aspects of things didn't connect as well. And again, without getting spoilery, this particular one let you combine cards in ways that, in my opinion, it shouldn't have, because it accidentally let you get the wrong cards by adding numbers together that shouldn't work. Practically speaking, I don't think this is a spoiler at all, practically speaking, when you add together a blue number and a red number, it either should thematically work and lead to a card, or that card shouldn't exist, or it should be a penalty card. Those are the three options. There were times in this game where you added together a blue and a red card, and you were able to pick out a card that you weren't supposed to. And so you'd skip part of the puzzle, and so that led to this one being a slightly disjointed experience. That wasn't the only issue, that was one of a few issues where it led to a disjointed experience where I was trying to figure out what actually was or wasn't unlocked. The overall puzzle I think was a good puzzle, but that just made it a harder one to get through. But past those, small notes from these, I think ultimately, this is going to give you the unlock experience that you're used to if you are familiar with the system, just at a shorter time frame and slightly cheaper price point. And if you're someone who's new to the unlock system, I think this is a great entry point to the system, giving you less of a time commitment as you jump into these and see if the unlock series is right for you. And if the unlock series is right for you, there's a lot more where this came from, both in the unlock universe itself, as well as diving into exit games and who knows what other escape room games and mystery games there are out there in the board game space. So what's my review on these? They're good. They're shorter unlock games. despite the shorter playtime, they don't feel like ripped apart experiences. They don't feel like they are less than a usual Unlock game. And so I guess that's the review ultimately. They feel like Unlock games. And so until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you found this helpful in some way. And as always, I hope you have a good one.